You are Locked On Wolverines, your daily podcast on the Michigan Wolverines, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Happy Friday. It is the day before Michigan plays in its first ever Big Ten championship game. How excited are you? Lord knows we are excited. Bringing in Jake Butt, the former Michigan tight end, Mackey Award winner. And we are going to break down the game. I'm your man on the ground, Isaiah Hole, publisher of Wolverines Wire through USA Today Sports Media Group. Before we get started, I got to tell you today's episode is brought to you by Sonos. Sonos is the official sponsor of ESPN College Football. So go to sonos.com to learn more. All right, Jake, let's just get right into it, man. Number one, how excited are you for this?
Yeah, I'm super fired up. And I was talking to some of the guys on the team this week, and they brought up a good point that usually this week they're going home. They get their week off before, they do bowl prep. Normally they're home and they're watching this game from their couch. So, the biggest concern is there an emotional, there's an emotional factor from playing last week to refocusing to this week. But it seems like the guys understand what's at stake, and they're all fired up. And, you and I kind of gave this analogy a little bit, Isaiah, when we were talking about it is, for the listeners that maybe are in college or slightly removed, just go back to your college days when it's Monday morning and there's a little buzz around campus. There's a big party going on Friday night, and all week you're going all in for this party. You're going to bed early, no Wednesday beers. You're eating clean because all your chips are in that Friday night party basket. And you get to Friday night and it's even better than you expected. And it's this emotional high and it's great. And it goes party into the wee hours of the morning. And then you wake up Saturday and from that high, you're brought back down a little bit. Well, then Saturday afternoon, somebody texts you, hey man, we got another party Saturday night. You got to kind of refocus. You kind of got to get back up for it. It's a little bit tougher now that, you're a little bit beaten and battered from the night before. That's kind of my analogy for this week is, all your chips were in the basket last week for Ohio State, an emotional win, an awesome win. You prepped for it all year. Can you refocus and say, hey, now if we just meet that same level of preparation and execution this week, we should win, but it's easier said than done.
Well, that's very Colin Cowherd of you to have that analogy. And that's the thing that obviously everyone is really concerned about. But to me, I haven't been concerned about it that much because, we've heard from some of the players this week at them saying, hey, we're, this is for everything, right? Like it's one thing when, and they didn't say this is me saying this. It would be one thing if Michigan was playing Iowa in week 8 after playing Ohio State in week 7. That's not the case, right? Like this is the goal. The goal is the Big Ten championship. They slayed the dragon on the way to the goal, but now the goal is here. We've heard them say that they locked in immediately. I've heard that from some people outside, within the walls of Schembechler Hall, that the focus 100% turned, the energy's still there. And that's the thing that I think plays a big difference is that I think that this Michigan team, it's shown all along the way that it does not lose focus. Right. And this isn't, and no offense to this team I'm about to mention, but it's kind of like the 2019 team. It seemed like it didn't have that energy per se. Like it would go into some of these games, went to Wisconsin, and they were hyped up before the game. They'd get punched in the mouth, and then they'd be very confused, right? Like, we're Michigan. Why aren't they laying down for us? I don't see that out of this team. I don't think this is that type of team that's going to have that mentality. To me, this is a team that is going to go in there. They're going to be aggressive, and they're going to continue to be aggressive. Let's just say hypothetically, they get punched in the mouth and they do have that moment where it's like, whoa, what are you doing? I expect this team to be able to respond because we've seen it all year. And I understand there's, as they say in MGO blog, the black pit of negative expectations that happens. And especially when you're a Michigan fan, that idea that, all right, we just got a really nice thing. Now we get a not very nice thing. And I know a lot of people out there saying it would be very Michigan-like for Michigan to lose this game. This is a different Michigan team. You've been saying it since before the second week of the season, really. You were saying it after week 1. that makes me kind of want to go back for a second. What was it about this team? Because like Michigan beat up on Western Michigan. Okay. Right.
Yeah.
There's nothing in and of itself that's particularly impressive about that. I understand Western Michigan's a decent MAC team, but we've seen, I mean, there was a team that you were a part of, 2014 Michigan, that played Appalachian State, went out there and destroyed App State, and then destroyed Notre Dame, and then fell off a cliff. What did you see coming out of that game that made you say, hey, this is a different team now?
It's the subtleties. And, you know, for the casual fan that's watching it, especially at home, you're going to miss it. Those games I was down on the sideline, so I was able to kind of really see, you know, the intricacies of how they took the field, how they came off the field, how they talked when they were off the field. And it was the little subtleties. Like when I'd watch the offensive line march right down the field and you're like, oh, that's a great drive. They'd come off the field, they'd rip off their helmets, and they're talking about the play that they didn't execute on. And it's immediate communication like, hey, did you see that? The defensive lineman spiked across our face. We got to read that and adjust on the fly. You know, Cade, maybe he missed a throw. He's coming to talk to the receivers and like, hey, what happened there? I need you at 14 yards, not 12 yards. Like, we got to be on the same page. And there's no egos. It's all just love for one another. Like, hey, listen, we're not worried about one play. We're worried about the end result, and we trust one another that even if we have a bad play, that the body of work is going to take care of itself. And that what really that speaks on is leadership. And when you have leadership and love for one another, and then you look at the scheme changes, you know, Michigan's defense, the most improved defense in the country in terms of points per game, with Coach McDonald being brought on board. Those are all little pieces that maybe not one makes a difference, but it's a little here that adds up to a lot and a large body of work that just gives you the utmost confidence that this team's going to fight until the very end. And if you have the talent that they have, combined with the fact that they'll fight till the very end, you're going to win a lot of ball games, or at least have the chance to win a lot of ball games. So, you know, are they the most talented team in the country? Maybe not the most talented team in the country, but they have the things that you can't coach. And that love for one another really does matter in such a brutal sport like football, especially this late in the season when everybody's banged up. It's a little bit easier to show up to work with a mindset of improvement when you love the process, you love your coaches, and you love your teammates.
It's funny because, and I think I harkened back to this once before. I used to think it was a cliche, but one of the reasons why I really liked Phillip Rivers is I remember when I lived in LA, I remember one late night, I was probably out drinking, having a good time, get back home, and I'm laying in bed and I got the TV on, I got SportsCenter on, and they cut away to a San Diego Chargers post game in which they came back. And the thing that always was stuck with me, and I know it sounds cliche, but Phillip Rivers says, we never stopped believing in each other. And for some reason, that stuck with me, as it seems like that's usually what people say when you have a game like that. But at the same time, it doesn't make it any less true. That kind of made me a Phillip Rivers fan, and just like the way he talked about that game. And I searched for that press conference a bunch of times. I don't remember what game it was. I just remember it was in like 2011. But nonetheless, I think that is what you see from this team. We're going to get into the intricacies of Iowa a little bit more here momentarily. But before we do, I have to tell you a little something about betonline.ag. Now, BetOnline has you covered all season. They've had you covered all season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before as football season continues to march to the playoffs. BetOnline remains your number one spot for all of the sports action this season. Head over to our new updated desktop or mobile website. Sign up today. Receive that 50% welcome bonus with your first deposit. Just use the promo code LOCKEDON to receive it. From basketball, football, NHL, boxing, and UFC, right to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all of your favorite sports. BetOnline, where the game starts. All right, Jake. So when you look at Iowa, to me, it's kind of Michigan on steroids in a lot of ways. But I mean, certainly, I think the goal for the Hawkeyes is to muck things up. Essentially, I mean, this was a team that was number 2 in the country This is a team that obviously it's played well enough to get to the Big Ten championship game. Only 2 losses on the season, one to Purdue, one to a Wisconsin team that Michigan has beaten. Has no offense to speak of per se. You can expect some wrinkles that they haven't shown all year in this game. But what is to you the most concerning thing when it comes to Iowa, especially just knowing that this is for everything, right? They want the Big Ten championship just as much as Michigan does in a lot of ways. Neither team has won it since 2004 when they split. So what is it that you, when you look at Iowa and the Hawkeyes, what are the things that you are like, ooh, that's something that I don't like seeing?
So the most concerning thing, and it kind of has to do with the narrative surrounding, Ohio State football is, here we are in the media still talking about, or the Ohio State game last week. Here we are still talking about it on Friday, the big win against Ohio State. That's tough as you go against an Iowa team who, like you said, they were number 2 in the country at one point. They do have talent. They are able to execute. And the thing about Iowa football that goes hand in hand with that is if you let a team like Iowa hang around, they're a run-committed team. They're the same DNA every year under Kirk Ferentz. They're a run-committed team. And they try to control the time of possession and control the clock. They like to elongate drives, 8 to 10 play drives, 10 minutes off the clock. If they do that and they're scoring, ending in 7 points, you're taking a nap on the sideline. Your offense is taking a nap on the sideline. It's hard to get back out there and get in rhythm when, the Iowa offense is eating up all the clock. So the key to this game is starting fast. It's to take a lead early on Iowa. I was thinking about this today, is if we win the coin toss, is this a game where you actually want to receive the kick? Do you want to go down there and try to take a 7-point lead early to put Iowa on their heels? They're not a team that is built to play good from behind, and they're not a team that is really proficient in passing the football either. So, with the emotional aspect of last week, it's imperative that we flip the page and start fast and get out to an early lead early in this game to put Iowa on their heels and force them to adapt to us rather than us to adapt to them. We are more talented. We should win this game, but as we know, that's just not how football works. You have to go out there and do it. And Iowa's a team you don't want to let hang around because they're uniquely built to win or at least stay in these kind of games.
Now, not to rehash some old wounds here, but I mean, obviously,
Sure.
2016, things went the way they did. What do you remember about that game and why they were able to have the type of success they had in that game? Because to me, when you look at the way that season progressed, the way that things went, it was kind of like your team scored in bunches. And it felt like with the touchdown, it was like, all right, here we go. It's about to start. And then it just didn't. Yeah. What made that game so hard in Kinnick? Obviously, they're not playing in Kinnick. This should be a very Michigan-friendly crowd. But what made that game so difficult for you guys in 2016?
Aside from the fact Kinnick night game is like one of the most dangerous places to play in the country, just magic happens there at night. You look at what I just said is exactly what happened in that game. We would be on the sideline for 7 to 10 minutes at a time. Like you're getting, you warm up pregame and, by the time I was finishing their drive, like, you're kind of, cold again. And you'd watch it and you'd see Iowa get to 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, and they're calling, hey, offense, get ready. So the offense stands up and they're getting ready to see the punt return team go out there. And then Iowa just barely gets the first down. You go sit back down on the bench. 2 plays later, it's 3rd and 2. Hey, offense, get ready. You get up off the bench and Iowa just barely gets the first down again. It's just kind of lulls you to sleep. It kind of makes you relax a little bit. It's a tough challenge to want to get out there and do something, but Iowa just continues to barely move the change and the play clock just gets tick, 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 tick. And, I look at that too, is there was just a couple mistakes in that game that were critical. We go into halftime, we're sleepwalking. We should have been playing way better at halftime. We have a great, first couple 10 plays drive set up to come out of half and try to score a touchdown. We were receiving and we fumbled a kickoff out of half. And Iowa gets the ball in the red zone. They have like a 6-play, 30-yard drive and just milk the clock once again. And again, it's dangerous in that sense. It's not dangerous like Ohio State, who could put up 50 points in a matter of 2 quarters against you. It's dangerous in the sense that they'll put your ass to sleep if you aren't careful. So with that being said, can our defense get them into third and long situations? You have to win first and second down. Their percentage of hitting third down when you go below 5 yards, so they're from 4 to 1 yards, they're likely to get the first down. 5 and longer, they got pretty much no shot. They are not built to pass the football. So winning the first and second down, getting them behind the chains, getting them in 3 and out situations, that's not what they're built to do. And if we can do that, it should be a dominant performance as long as we're taking care of business on the offensive side of the ball, scoring touchdowns, not field goals, which is what we've been doing these past couple of weeks.
And that's where you look at the fact that they've struggled with their outside protection. Their tackles have not been that good. They've been a little bit better the last couple of weeks, but they average about 3 sacks allowed per game. And that's not playing against Aiden Hutchinson and David Ajabo. Certainly they're going to max protect to try to neutralize one or both, but they're certainly not going to be very good in that situation. I would imagine, assuming that the aforementioned Michigan players come to play. Now, the other thing about it, because you look at some of these games where Michigan maybe hasn't had sacks, it's because they've faced mobile quarterbacks like Talia Tagovailoa. That game, Aiden and David really impacted that game, even though they didn't have a sack, because Talia was constantly running around. And Spencer Petras, who was announced as the starter on Tuesday, does not have that capability in his arsenal. He is pretty much a statue. So I think that's the good news. If Michigan can find a way in passing downs to pressure him, it's pretty unlikely that they're going to be able to convert. Certainly you could see some sacks. What I want to see from this Michigan defense is bottle up the run early. Iowa has not been great running the ball until the last couple of weeks. So that's the good news. They rank in the hundreds when it comes to rushing offense. I mean, this is an offense that ranks 123rd in the country overall. And so really, you almost can look at the offensive side and you can say, you can nix a lot of that, not right? Like they still managed to get 27 points against Minnesota, who's technically ranked higher on defense than Michigan, but I still have more faith in Michigan's defense to be able to get some things done. You look at the offensive side, I think the big key for Michigan is to be able to run the football effectively enough to pass. I look at it very similar to Penn State or Wisconsin in that front. And then when you do pass, you've got to be able to take care of the football because they thrive off turnovers. If Michigan can escape from this game turnover free, it should be a win. That's I think the big key, and that's the good news. Is Cade McNamara 3 interceptions, really only 2 being his fault against Michigan State and Ohio State, but the one against Nebraska I give him a full reprieve on. So I think that'll be interesting to see how that goes. What are you looking for on the offensive side?
Yeah, I mean, you got to avoid turnovers. That's what Iowa's defense MO is. They're not exactly a stout defense, but they get timely turnovers, and that puts their offense in a good position to put up points. And you get a lot of confidence with the fact that Cade is in there and his knowledge of coverages and understanding of not forcing the ball downfield. Sometimes the best thing you do is throw the ball away and punt the ball downfield. Because like you said, this Iowa offense really isn't spectacular. So if you can make them drive down the field, you feel confident about your success. Whereas if you give it interception and they have a short field, you feel a little bit less confident. So really the key again, though, is, good teams, they're successful on third down, Isaiah. Great teams avoid third down altogether. So winning on our offense, winning the first and second down, moving the chains for us to elongate drives. Again, let us, control that time of possession. Iowa is not built to counter that. That's who they are. But if we dictate the time of possession, if we are able to have success on first and second down, we get Iowa on their heels. We force them to change. They are not built to change. They don't have the talent to change. So if we set the tone, I think ultimately we should, be able to win this game and put up points. One thing I was thinking about too is, football is like a year-round preparation. So, in spring ball, it's your offense versus your defense. Most of camp, it's your offense versus your defense. Well, we run the ball, but so does Iowa. So all year, Iowa's defense gets to see a run-heavy offense. They prep against run-heavy offense all spring, all camp. So they might be more uniquely built to stop the run than Ohio State, who their defense all year is facing a pass-heavy offense. So again, like that's another thing I think about is it's going to present a challenge where a defense has seen the run more throughout the year. They have more reps against the run. That'll be a challenge for us to go ahead and try to pierce the defense. And can we get Donovan Edwards or some of our running backs? Their linebackers are built to stop the run. They're not built to cover our running backs out of the backfield. So can some of our running backs win those matchups in the pass game? Those are typically easy completions for Cade, and can really turn up and do something after the catch as well.
I think a mixture of that and then those combo blocks, right? I think getting those offensive linemen for Michigan to make that initial block and then go and hit somebody downfield. And, I think that's where the tight ends are really going to have to come into play as well, is just the idea of getting those linebackers off their spot just enough for the running backs to get through the hole, to get those positive yards. But I'm with you with the Donovan Edwards. I think this is a game in which you look at him and you say, I need you. And we saw it from Hassan Haskins against Penn State. To me, it almost feels like the game plan offensively has got to be the same as it was against Penn State. But you hope they are able to be a little bit more consistent. I don't want 21 points. I know that's probably a good barometer, when you look at it and say 21, that's a good place to be if you can against Iowa. I want more. I don't want this to be a good game. I want this game to be decided essentially by the end of the first quarter. I want to feel comfortable. I want to sit there and be thinking of stories to write in my head. I don't think it's going to go that way, but that's what I'm hoping. Anyway, that's I think that those things play into factor for sure that you mentioned. We are going to continue momentarily, and we're going to give our final score predictions. I just realized I don't remember mine. But we'll figure it out momentarily. But Jake, I gave you a couple Built Bars before the Ohio State game. You told me you were like, I'm not a coconut fan, but man, that coconut brownie chunk was good. What did you think of those two Built Bars I gave you? Because I gave you that. I gave you peanut butter brownie.
It was delicious, and I was sitting there. Normally I can run up in the game and get like one of those cottage in pizzas or a pretzel or something, but I didn't want to leave my seat, and I also didn't want to spend $15 on a personal pizza. You gave me the little Built Bars. Hey man, I'll try it. They really hit the spot. They were delicious. I ate the first one. I was like, all right, that's good. And then I ate the coconut brownie, and I was definitely blown away. It was pretty delicious. And now I will be a customer.
See, and I put my money where my mouth is myself. I have bought like 30 some boxes. I have another box coming. I should be here any day now. Probably will come while I'm down in Indianapolis. But the thing is about Built Bar that makes it so great is you can do it. You can have two. It's guilt-free because they're low calorie, low carb, but they're high protein. Perfect for athletes. They're perfect for anybody. And they're delicious. They taste like a candy bar. Do they not?
They do. I mean, they legitimately do. Yeah. Good, good friendly macros, high in protein, low in calories, and they taste delicious too. So I really, full package.
So for you out there who hasn't tried it, or maybe you have and you just want to get another box, go to built.com, use the promo code LOCK15. That's what I do. Get 15% off your next order. Built.com, promo code LOCK15. All right, Jake, we are mere hours away. It's 10:15 at this moment in the AM on Friday. 36 some hours will be in the middle of the game. It's Fox, so it'll probably be at the beginning of the game, because you know how that goes. But nonetheless, Lucas Oil Stadium, Indianapolis, Michigan against Iowa. Give me your breakdown of what you expect to happen in the game. How do you think it will unfold?
It's a big moment. So, you expect your leaders to show up and set the tone and have the rest of the team follow. So I know how much, again, you proved last week that you could show up at a big moment. Can you do it back-to-back weeks? And with everything on the line, you could, a college football playoff berth, potentially in a favorable matchup against Cincinnati or an Oklahoma State rather than a Georgia or Alabama. This game is absolutely critical. Got to start fast in this game. Again, force Iowa to do something they're not used to doing, which is playing from behind. So start fast, put out points early. Turn Iowa into a passing team, get them into third and long situations where their success rate is extremely low. And ultimately, I think Michigan should cruise to victory here just for once. When was the last time Michigan had a big game where we were like sitting back and enjoying ourselves in the third quarter. Like, yes, we finally have this one. This is our chance to go out there in a favorable matchup to, kind of try to put this game out of reach early, and Michigan fans can exhale a little bit and we can hug each other and say, we did it. The boys in blue, they did it. We're Big Ten champions. I can see it happening. This is an amazing opportunity. And I'm super excited for the seniors, and a guy like Aiden Hutchinson who came back and has literally laid his body on the line for this team this year. It's all there for the taking. I got 35-17 Michigan.
35. That's more than Iowa has led up since 2018. Iowa has been the most that they've given up has been 27 in the last couple of years. So it's going to be a big imperative for Michigan's offense to outpace that. I think they can do it. Technically the only offense that Iowa's faced that's better than Michigan is Kent State. And we all know that a high flying MAC offense is not the same as a high flying Big Ten offense. This is the third best defense they've faced, and they are 1-1 in those games. They only got 7 points against Wisconsin. They got 27 against Minnesota. So it'll be, I think, if Michigan can find a way to not turn the ball over, if Michigan can find a way to run the ball enough. Again, I look at Penn State and Wisconsin as the rubric for how you want to attack a defense like this. Defensively, I think Michigan will get pressure on Petrus. I don't think he'll be comfortable on any passing down. I'm sure he'll still complete a few. I'm sure the point is to get rid of the ball quickly, probably to Sam Laporta, the tight end, because it's going to be hard to otherwise neutralize that pass rush. But I think Michigan will be able to stuff the run. For those who are confused about why that Michigan struggled against the run in some games and not so in others, it's now Ohio State. That doesn't make any sense because it's kind of an outlier compared to some of these other games. Maryland, Penn State, I think Michigan State. Michigan was so keyed in on the pass that the run kind of suffered. I think that this is a situation where Michigan can do like it did defensively against Wisconsin. Obviously, tons of success in that game. I expect similar results. I have Michigan, I think I had a 28-10. I don't think Iowa's going to score a lot of touchdowns. I'll give them one touchdown and one field goal. And I'm giving Michigan apparently a bunch of touchdowns. All right, so that's going to do it. Jake, see you down in Indianapolis. Very excited to get this thing underway. I'm about to embark upon the journey right now. So safe travels. We will see you down there. Any Michigan fans who are down there, we'll see you down there. But thank you for watching and or listening. We'll talk to you soon, hopefully celebrating a Big Ten conference championship and college football playoff berth. We'll talk to you soon. Peace.